The reward of the young scientist is the emotional thrill of being the first person in the history of the world to see something or to understand something. Nothing can compare with that experience.
The Interplanetary Podcast. The exploration of space for the benefit of all mankind. Your hosts here in London, Matthew Russell and Jamie Franklin.
Matt, who was that?
It's her birthday today. Although it would have been her birthday. So Cecilia Helena Payne, who became Cecilia Payne Gaboshkin.
I'm glad you pronounced that. Wow, amazing quote. So, born on this day. Well, we say this day. I mean, this is the day we're recording.
Yeah,
May
10th of May.
In 1900, died 1979. She was a British American astronomer and astrophysicist who, in 1925, proposed in her PhD thesis an explanation for the composition of stars in terms of the relative abundances of hydrogen and helium.
An astronomy great. So, do you want to hear the second part of that quote?
Hit me.
The reward of the old scientist is the sense of having seen a vague sketch grow into a masterly landscape.
See, that's lovely, isn't it? A vague sketch grow into a masterly landscape. That's very, very beautiful.
When I was looking at birthdays of today, this is one of NASA's darkest days. Lisa Marie Nowak.
Okay.
She was born today as well, and she flew up on the Space Shuttle Discovery STS-121. But that's not what she's famous for.
What's she famous for?
She is famous for her love triangle crimes.
Whoa.
See, that we should have that as a jingle. Love triangle crimes.
Of the week. Could we make it into a weekly feature? I don't think we'd have enough content.
Yeah, we're going to be stretching it a little bit thin.
Yeah.
But she had an affair with STS-116 pilot William Offerline.
Ooh.
And they admitted to having a 2-year affair. Well, she had basically attacked his girlfriend, tried to kidnap her.
Blimey.
Air Force Captain Colleen Shipman. So, yeah, it was all pretty nasty.
My Lord.
And they're the first astronauts ever to be dismissed from NASA.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've got so many questions, Matt. I mean, did she fly with the guy that she was having an affair with?
I don't know. I think they must have trained together. No, I don't think they did. No, because one was on 116, one was on 121.
Right. That might answer our question in a previous podcast as whether there's been, any nookie in space.
Le nookie dans l'espace. Oui.
Oui, indeed. Okay. Wow. Blimey.
Yeah.
Matt, I quite like a bit more of that. Could we have crimes in the space industry?
Yeah, sort of
feature.
Seedy crimes of space.
Yeah,
I think we should. Yeah. No, it's a very intriguing one. There was all sorts of stuff going on. Like, they were accusing all the astronauts of being drunk when they were flying up to the space station and stuff like this. And it's like, it all went completely...
Well,
it was a big news story at the time.
Didn't we?
Oh, yeah. But that was Russians. That was the old style Russian...
Old school. That's just water to them anyway. They don't just...
Exactly.
They don't get drunk. Matt,
well, it's good for their spirit.
We've got some shout-outs to do.
We certainly do.
Let's do it.
This has been a long time coming. Shout out to Dylan Thompson.
Big up yourself, DT.
Yeah, he's been a bang-out patron of the show. Thank you for listening and spreading the word. But
yes.
the biggest thanks should go to our Daedalus level show producers, of which we have a new one.
Who
Jeffrey Marlam has welcome
Jeff.
on board.
Welcome,
Absolutely
Jeffrey.
So awesome to have yet another show producer. And of course, Matt Gilliland.
Cheers, Matt.
I'm going to shout them out at the beginning rather than at the end, but we've got our Skylon legends and regular contributors. I have to say they're quite active in giving us some...
Yeah, I love hearing the comments from these dudes and dudesses. So we've got Bob Hodges.
Richard Swain.
We've got Carol Sim.
Yeah, we still don't know how to say that. We
I
should
reckon
maybe
it's
get into
Karel.
audio it over. Karel,
Yeah.
I reckon.
Karel?
Yeah. Erin Edwards and Julio Aprea.
The
Wow.
infamous Julio.
The infamous
Aprea.
Julio.
Wow, I mean,
Genius.
what a bunch. I mean, if you want to join that bunch, how'd you go about it, Matt?
If you I think you just go straight to the Patreon page and bang, you're done. Interplanetary. That's it.
You're done,
Patreon.
though.
Boom, you're done now.
Oh, we are in
Jamie,
touch. We are in touch with the youth today, aren't
Yeah,
we?
you're looking a bit shook now, Jamie.
Yeah, are
but
you
don't
shook?
worry. Anyone listening to this podcast is protected.
Oh, God. Man, we're going to have to go a long way to redeem ourselves, aren't we?
Well, it's fine. I just edit that out.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
See
Matt,
what
what's
I've done?
happening in... I'd like to know what's happening in US space news.
Do you know what we've done this week? We've split it out into lots of different nations. The one thing that's been coming up on our feeds quite a lot is that people want to hear about stuff that's happening internationally. So
Yeah.
we'll deal with the US space news because that's what everyone else talks about, really. But then there's lots of other space news from all around the world.
It's not all about the US, Matt.
No, but let's do the US first. Let's kick that one down. Talking of kicking. Jim Bridenstine, or Bride of Frankenstein, as I like to call him, he made his first public speech as NASA administrator, and he used the phrase, "This will not be Lucy and the football again." Do you know what that means?
What's that reference to? I don't know.
Well, I was racking my brain going, what does that mean? It's Charlie Brown, I think. You know, when Lucy, his Charlie Brown's mate, used to hold the football, and every time she used to whip it away and he would fall over.
I don't. I'm not in that generation, Matt. But
Yeah,
I understand what you mean.
It's a cultural generation thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what it means. It was this trick that she always used to play on Charlie Brown. And always promised him that she wasn't going to do it, and she always did. When I was a kid, I used to hate Lucy for doing it. It was horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what he meant. Basically, he's saying that this time round we are going to the moon. We're not going to pull it away at the last second.
Not going to
each
dilly
time.
dally. That's exciting.
But in his speech, he didn't even mention SLS or the Orion spacecraft. So that's funny, in a speech about going back to the moon, not mentioning those two things.
I wonder if he's had a chat with Trump yet. Do you think he's had a chat with him?
He's Trump's man. They're buddies.
Really?
They're big bodies.
Oh, that's a bit scary. I want you to tell everybody that we're going to the moon.
We are going to the moon. Oh, I really want to do a Trump impression. I just can't do it. It's so annoying.
Nobody goes to the moon like I do.
That sounded...
Yeah, it's pretty bad, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know where we're going with that.
Got to work on that.
But there's been another appointment, and congratulations to Megan Powers.
Nice one, Megs.
Yeah, who's now the agency's press secretary. See, what I'm buttering her up so that we get special treatment.
Oh, that would be nice.
Now we talked about Insight, of course, last week.
We did,
and it did indeed fly up on Saturday, and Jake from We Martians did indeed watch that launch.
Oh, yes, Jake.
And if you're interested, Jamie and myself are going to be talking to Jake on his Off Nominal podcast this weekend.
We are.
So you can tune into that as well. So it's a double bubble this week.
Subscribe.
Yeah. So it's the first interplanetary mission to launch from the West Coast, and it's begun its 6-month journey to Mars.
It's just so exciting.
Yep. But also on board, what's really exciting is on board was a couple of 6-unit CubeSats called Mars Cube 1, or Marco, A and B. And they're the first CubeSats to go beyond Earth orbit. So for the first time ever, we've got these little CubeSats out in space.
That is beautiful.
So, out
hey,
in
Matt,
deep
I tell
space,
you,
I should say.
I tell you what we should quickly mention while we're on the subject of Mars is we had an interesting tweet response to one of my queries, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
And let me just check. That was Jeff Snively. Sorry if I've pronounced that wrong. But if you remember, it was the why, if they're collecting soil samples, are they
scattering
dropping it around,
all over the place.
scattering them around all over the place. And he said, to the point in the latest podcast about leaving canisters all over the place, I once heard that it has to do with not putting all the eggs in one basket for contamination. If a private mission contaminates one, the others are fine. So
that's a
cheers
great
for that, Jeff.
response.
Love that.
Yeah, it's not the one I was expecting either. That was
we
brilliant.
need to obviously get it verified, but I love that.
Yeah, I love the fact that he read it somewhere.
Yeah.
That's always the way, isn't it?
Yeah,
You
where
never
is
find
that? Where
the source.
did you read it?
Anyway, I've written a load of bump about Insight, but I don't think we need to bother. I think if you want to hear the bump, tune into Off Nominal,
Cool.
because we'll almost certainly talk a lot about Insight, because I'm sure Jake's going to wax lyrical.
That is a hell of a cliffhanger.
Also, you posted a question on Instagram of what people wanted to talk about. Another of our patrons, Mark Schoen, who's massively into modular synths, by the way, Jamie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, big time. He wanted to have a little bit of JWST news, the James Webb Space Telescope, and at the moment it's just continual bad news on that front. Again. There's been some problems after an acoustic test. The fastening hardware has come loose, and they're trying to work out why. So, yeah, basically they're inching slowly towards launch, but doing it extremely methodically with this, God knows how much it cost in the billions now, spacecraft. It's expensive.
It's really expensive. It's a bit nerve-wracking hearing news from them, because it's just from one thing to another.
Do you know, I forgot to mention, actually, when I had my evening supper with Donald Lyndon Bell,
Clang,
the great astronomer that died a few weeks back, I forgot to mention on the show that I actually asked him about James Webb and said, was he really excited? And his response was a little bit kind of muted. It was more like, actually, if that money had been spent on ground-based telescopes, it would have been better spent. Which is an interesting point of view, and who am I to argue with one of the world's experts on astronomy? Yeah. But it's like, I'm not sure. It's hard, isn't it? Surely the stuff that James Webb Telescope, the data that it gets, is different from the stuff that you can get on ground-based telescopes.
Agreed.
I mean, we're going to be talking about Gaia later on, and that has changed the face of astronomy. Full stop.
Absolutely.
Bad news. Final bit of American space news, of course, is that CRS-14, the Dragon, has come back after its 31-day operation, splashed into the ocean. But it's really great. One of the things that's on board, other than some rats and fruit flies and things like that, was Robonaut. So he's had to come back down because he wouldn't reboot. He just wouldn't reboot, and they tried switching him off and switching him back on again, but it just wasn't working. So
I love the phone call to the IT department. Yes, have you tried switching it off?
Well, as we'll hear in our interview in a minute with the Antonio, phoning from the space station back is hilarious. There's an amazing bit in this interview coming up.
Listeners, we've been keeping this interview from you as a bit. We love this interview, don't we, Matt? I mean, we haven't released it, but
I love
you're
this
in for a treat.
You are in for a treat, and he's definitely one of our most favouriteest space people we've met so far.
Agreed.
Legend.
Agreed.
Ultimate host of the Astronaut Centre.
Hostess with the mostess.
I'm going to give you a little bit of Indian space news.
Go for it.
There's a guy called K. Sivan. I think he's the chairman, the big boss man of the ISRO. And so he's been talking about how he's giving sort of private enterprise a few years to sort of catch up on the technical issues to get, local native satellite building done properly, so that it's not, it's not screwed up, etc., etc. So, but he also talked about GSAC-6 and what went wrong, and he said it was a spark that could have caused it, that led to a short circuit, because they're using a much more powerful satellite bus.
Right.
That's why they've recalled GSAT-11. But one of the things he said was that when they built the Mars orbiter, because that spacecraft is so sensitive, they didn't run a certain set of tests called the critical pressure test. And then for some reason, because they didn't run it on that, they didn't run it on subsequent satellites. So that's why they're bringing GSAT 11 back to run this critical pressure test on it.
Interesting.
There we go. So he said that they need 45 new satellites built over the next few years, and therefore the demand is very, very high. So they're looking at 18 satellite launches a year, and hopefully their private sector will be able to kind of take this burden on. So they're pumping a load of money into the economy to make that happen, which is exciting.
Well, go for it, India.
And of course, their arch rivals, Pakistan, are doing the same thing. So they've announced recently that the Pakistani government is pumping in $40 million into their space agency called SUPARCO, the Space and Upper Atmosphere Research Commission. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was called SUPARCO. No. Yeah, that's their country space agency. And they're building the first Pakistani satellite called the PakSat MM1. It's going to cost $22 million or thereabouts. And building new research centres in Karachi and space centres in Islamabad, Karachi and Lahore. Well,
that can only be a good thing.
Yeah, so, they've been relying very much on Chinese technology. So they want to be able to get... They're kind of mixing it up. So they're doing a bit like America's doing halfy military civilian satellite thing and sort of developing it in tandem.
Got it.
There we go. Yeah.
Got it. Well, that's interesting. And actually, you know what? It can't hurt a bit of friendly competition, can it? I mean, I don't know how friendly it is. But, you know, Pakistan and India sort of trying to maybe get into a little bit of a race. Do you reckon, Matt?
Yeah. I mean, if you compare Pakistani's spending with India's, it's dwarfed. I mean, their entire budget is much less than the one Mars, the moon orbiter, in fact, that India built. So it's not even close.
Not much of a race.
There's not much of a race at the moment, but it doesn't. You know, India started off spending very little money and achieving massive amounts. So we'll have to watch Pakistan.
We should do.
China. Let's move on to China. Another massive space power of the Far East. They launched a Long March 4C, and that's the 274th flight of a Long March. That just goes to show how far ahead they are. And it's stuck up one of their Earth observation satellites called the GoFN5. So that's So that is for looking at the Earth in lots of different ways, in different spectrums, to look at greenhouse gases and things like that. So, and air pollutants and things.
Oh, that sounds like an important one. I'm endorsing that one.
Yeah, well done.
That one can go ahead.
Yeah, I love the more and more of those kind of environmental monitoring satellites that go up, the better, because NASA, because Trump's cancelling all the NASA ones because he doesn't want NASA to keep telling him that climate change is real.
Is it because he's a massive?
It is. That is exactly the reason.
That's why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, totally.
Just wanted to know.
I loved this news article. So the Chinese Academy of Launch Vehicle Technology, or CALT, which is very similar to what you just called the rocket development arm of the Chinese space program, recently announced the design of graphene composite film suitable for use in light-propelled spacecraft.
Whoa.
So instead of having like a solar sail, it's going to have a graphene sail. Whoa.
Sick.
Yeah, he did say graphene propulsion will revolutionize the design of propulsion systems and will open up yet another door for humanity to explore outer space. However, the technology is still in the development phase and is still a long way from a prototype.
I love that. It started really exciting and then was like, get out clause, so we're not quite there yet.
But private space in China is taking off as well. So we've got essentially a whole bunch of Elon Musks out in China, and one space is the name of one of them, and they're going to launch their first rocket, so the first private space company to launch a rocket. It'll be suborbital on May the 17th, so that's one to look out for. So that's the OSX. And hopefully, near the end of the year, they're going to do an orbital rocket called the OSM-1. So there's a whole bunch of them. There's iSpace, X-Space, Land Space, all of these commercial launch services that are emerging in China. Link Space, there's another one, yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Very cool. What about European space news?
European space news. Hit me with it.
So, ESA select 3 new mission concepts for study. Number 1, a high-energy survey of the early universe. Transient high-energy sky and early universe surveyor.
Theseus.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, Theseus, what a name.
Number 2, an infrared observatory to study the formation of stars, planets and galaxies. Space infrared telescope for cosmology and astrophysics.
Speaker. Spelt the same as the star.
Absolutely. And then lastly, the Venus orbiter, Envision. Are to be considered for ESA's 5th medium-class mission in its Cosmic Vision Science Programme, with a planned launch date of 2032. Will be studied in parallel, and a final decision is expected in 2021. Wow.
We'll be on episode 200 or something like that.
Oh, you know we will.
Wow. So yeah, it's ace, isn't it? So Theseus is going to make a complete census of gamma ray bursts from the universe's first billion years.
Wow.
Speaker is going to be a joint European-Japanese project that's going to be a bit similar. It's going to be similar to NASA's Spitzer and ESA's Herschel space observatories, and work in the far infrared spectroscopic and do a survey in that. And of course, that means it can see through all the dust. So that's going to be amazing, and it's going to be complementary to all the ground-based telescopes that are being built.
Yes,
and in fact the James Webb Telescope as well. And Envision is basically in the footsteps of Venus Express, which is a fantastic ESA mission to Venus, of course. NASA apparently are slated to help with that one. So that's going to be mapping the surface of Venus to a much greater detail using radar.
That is really exciting. Hey, Matt, if there was a train that went from Earth to Venus and it was called the Venus Express, what kind of snacks do you think would be at the buffet bar?
I would imagine Mars bar.
What, on the Venus Express? No way.
Yeah, way. Well, what would be?
Maybe some refreshers.
Or curry to get rid of that kind of smell.
Yeah, that's very
Venus
true.
Smell.
That's very true. Interesting. Wow, okay. Should we talk about a satellite?
Yeah, go on then.
Copernicus Sentinel-3B has delivered its first images of Earth.
Yes.
Less than 2 weeks after it was launched.
I know.
The
actually
Copernicus
unbelievable.
satellite has delivered its first images of Earth, exceeding expectations. This is the first set of images. The sunset over Antarctica. I need to see these. Sea ice in the Arctic and a view of of Northern Europe. I mean, we need to put them up on the blog, please.
They're actually really cool. The imagery is unbelievable. But the real big news, really, European space, is that Gaia data dump that has hit the streets.
Yeah.
That is the amount of stuff that's instantly coming out of that already. Astronomers are just with their jaws on the floor going, this changes everything forever.
Yes.
It's just well done, Ben Brahm, one of our previous guests and father of one of my students, for being a legend and actually changing astronomy forever. Because the Gaia mission, that has been a proper success.
Wow.
So actually, I want to do a bit of UK space news.
Go on then.
So on InSight, the Mars lander that we were talking about earlier on is actually a UK space agency piece of equipment. So they invested £4 million in one of the seismometers on the InSight lander. So yeah,
Right.
that will be measuring Mars quakes.
Wow.
According to Professor Tom Pike of Imperial College, who's in charge of the project, he said it's been enormously challenging to put together such a small sensor with the performance we need to detect Mars quakes.
How many Mars
There you go.
quakes are there, roughly? Do we know?
That's what they're going to find out.
Well, exactly. We'll wait to hear.
And that was done with a little bit of help from France, Switzerland, Germany, and America.
Hey, Matt, I'd like to just remind you that Britain makes 40% of the world's small satellites. Did you know that?
That is an amazing statistic, isn't it?
40%.
40%. And a lot of them are made in the very town that I'm doing this podcast from.
We're
in
going
Guildford.
there soon, aren't we, Matt?
Oh yes, and we're actually going on a guided tour of Surrey satellites. I
We
literally
will have
can't
to
wait.
get some interviews and bring them
interviews
back.
a go on that one.
Absolutely.
Japan. What's the Japanese space news?
Well, it's all about the SS-520, isn't it? It's made the Guinness Book of World Records, Matt. Smallest orbital rocket. Size, 9.54 metres.
Oh,
Diameter,
it's little dinky.
0.5 metres.
Yeah, that's a tiny little fella, isn't it?
Really small. So, congratulations, Japan.
Remember that actually took off at a very similar time to Falcon Heavy, and that's why no one actually. So we had in the same week, I believe, the smallest orbital rocket and one of the biggest orbital rockets.
Very true.
there we
Very
go.
true.
They also announced that JAXA, the Japanese space agency, also announced that they're going to be building reusable boosters. And there's a brilliant footage of a reusable booster that sort of goes up and back down. It looks like a sort of traffic cone.
Yeah.
So like an upside down ice cream cone. And it's quite phenomenal, but it doesn't go. I mean, obviously, it doesn't go very, very high. It's nowhere near in the same league as SpaceX. But yeah, they're massively investing in that type of technology. So they're doing 100 meters at first, and then increasing that to 5,000 meters or 5 kilometers, if you like. So yeah, they're going down that route of testing reusable rockets.
Beautiful. So, on to Russia, Matt.
Russia.
President Putin apparently marking his new presidential term by giving the boot to Dmitry Trampoline Rogozin, who oversaw the Russian space tech. So there's lots of questions there, Matt. One, why did he give him the boot? Two, why did he have the middle name of Trampoline?
Well, I know the answer to both those. So Dmitry Rogozin was brought in because of all the problems that Russia space was having.
Yes.
And he was basically drafted in to turn the whole thing around. And he has done. So he has made it slightly more reliable, and he's got rid of some of the mistakes and corruption that was there. However, in the meantime, Russia have really lost their place as the sort of number one launch provider.
Yes.
SpaceX on their own are going to do way more launches this year than Russia. So I suppose the writing was on the wall for poor old Dmitry, and I suppose it's the Novichok for him next. But the reason why he's called Trampoline is because he once mocked the Americans and said, well, if you want to get your astronauts into space, you better use a trampoline, saying that was the only way that they could possibly do it these days.
Oh, God.
So that's why it's called Trampoline, apparently.
Got it.
Yeah. So what else is happening in the international news of space?
Announced this week in the Australian federal budget, they've allocated $26 million for the establishment of Australia's very own space agency, originally rumoured to be $50 million. $26 million will kickstart the project, with the private sector expected to make up the lion's share of the remainder of the funds needed. Go Australia.
Yeah, so it's started. So it genuinely has started. So Australia have started their own space agency. There we go. So Australia in the game.
Put another shrimp into space. Sorry if anyone was offended by that.
This Kenya story was really hard to research, because every single newspaper I read on it was wrong. it kept saying that this week we were going to see a launch from Japan. They've got like a small CubeSat, basically. And it kept saying that it's being launched this week from Japan, and Education Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohammed will lead a delegation to witness its deployment. It's not true. It actually went up on the Dragon that came down, the one that we were talking about earlier on, the CRS-14, on April the 2nd, and it's going to be launched from the International Space Station, or deployed from the International Space Station, streamed from Japan to be broadcast on the Kenyan broadcasting company, the KBC.
Got it.
So, so Kenya have entered the first sub-Saharan African country to launch a nanosatellite into space.
Wow. Good work, Kenya.
Well done, Kenya. So Kenya are in the game.
One of the highlights of my life, Matt, was flying into Kenya, and I was going to hop over to Madagascar. You know how I do, Matt.
Oh, yeah, big time.
And I was flying. It was a beautiful sunny afternoon, and I was flying into Kenya and flew over Kilimanjaro and saw the plains of Africa, Matt, from my window seat. Stunning.
Wow, amazing.
Absolutely stunning. So welcome aboard, Kenya.
My posh cousin always used to call it Kenya. So,
Kenya? Is that how it's pronounced by the locals?
It's how it's pronounced by posh people.
Oh, well, I'm not posh, so I'll say Kenya.
Yeah, I think you're all right. Yeah. So that satellite's going to assist with outer space observation and disaster management. And I have one last piece of international space news.
Go on.
And this one's from Dubai.
Okay.
So the Dubai Aviation Engineering Projects, or DAEP, the DAEP, has produced the creation of a multi-mode superport at Dubai's Al Maktoum International Airport, and they're going to call it the Cosmotropolis. How cool is that? To provide a single hub for all sub and supersonic air travel, space access, and hyperloop transportation in the United Arab Emirates.
Ah, there we go. They've been talking about hyperloop transportation for a while. Amazing. Amazing.
Can you imagine that? An airport's got all that going on. Oh, I don't even mean incredible. An airport. I mean a cosmotropolis.
Yeah, exactly. Get it right, Grandad.
So there's going to be people hyperlooping in, zipping up to the moon. Oh, all they need now is an orbital ring going round and an access point at Dubai. Then they'd be kicking it.
That would be a welcome addition. I mean, incredible. Good work.
Good work. The whole... But that's just this week in the world. It's amazing, isn't it? There's a lot going on internationally in space, and you really get the feeling that space is hotting up again. That there's a lot. This
really
commercial,
feels like it.
The commercial aspect of space is definitely.
There's so much great news, Matt. I just can't stop sneezing.
No, it's weird. Does good news always make you sneeze?
Yeah, it does. And also I'd like to say that if anyone knows anyone who's walking around saying that, they're bored today, why not tell them to research what's going on in space and get involved via the Interplanetary podcast? Was that a good advert, Matt?
It is a fantastic advert. You should write for Saatchi and Saatchi.
Oh, I might.
Talking of people who are massively a space legend, we now have our interview with the most amazing host and all-round wonderful chap, Antonio Fortunato.
He really was. So massive thanks to him. This was a while ago now, but we still talk about this, don't we, Matt? And please enjoy.
Please enjoy. I love this. Écoutez. So, really excitingly, we've been joined today at the European Astronaut Centre by Antonio Fortunato, and he's the team lead for crew support. Hello, Antonio.
Hello.
Thank you for doing this.
Pleasure meeting you.
Antonio's been a brilliant host while we've been here as well and been showing us around, so thank you very much for that.
Been like kids in candy store. It's absolutely amazing.
And what's been brilliant is, as we've been looking around, Antonio's been giving us lots and lots and lots of information about everything. And one of the things that he started talking to us about was the International Space Station and ESA's involvement with it. So we thought, what a brilliant place to actually start and have some real insight into it.
For anyone who's listening who doesn't really know about the history, how did it start?
Well, the space station program is really a very interesting history and very interesting origins. As you know, the Soviet Union and the United States were planning their own separate space stations. Obviously, the Soviet Union wanted to continue and build on the experience that they had with Mir, so they were planning to build the Mir 2, and the United States wanted to build their own space station, which was supposed to be Space Station Freedom. And all those projects had grown in the Cold War era, and it kind of relied on the budget that was available in the Cold War era. And finally, the Cold War was over, and those budgets couldn't materialize anymore. So this cooperation started, and what we know now as the International Space Station is really the result of a merger of what was supposed to be Mir 2 and the Space Station Freedom. And what we see now when we look really at pictures of the ISS, and we can clearly identify that there are pieces that have a certain design and certain technology and pieces that have a completely different design and technology. Those were really the components of the two space stations that had been finally put together.
So the Russians started, what was the name of the original Russian part of the International Space Station that started it all?
Yeah, the first element that was flown in November of '98 was the functional cargo block, or Zarya, and that was followed immediately later by the Node 1, and that's where the station really could start being built and grow to what we know and admire today.
What technology had that grown out of? Because he was saying that it wasn't specifically built like that, but it had grown out of another program.
Yeah, the functional cargo block has really an interesting history. It was developed at first as a part of the cargo transportation system for the Almaz, the military stations of the Soviet Union. It was supposed to be part of a system called TKS, which finally never really worked. It was really never fully operational. But the technology of the TKS was reused for the functional cargo block of the ISS, and before that was used to develop the platform for what is known as the Battle Station Polius, or Skiff DM, which was flown on board the Energia rocket in the late 80s, in one of the only two launches of the Energia rocket.
Actually, that was a really interesting launch. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, very, very, very shortly. As you remember, in the 80s, President Reagan had started the Space Defense Initiative, which was supposed to be this complex system that was to be used by the United States to destroy ICBMs coming from the Soviet Union. And the Soviet Union was putting together their own program that was based, among other things, on platforms that were deployed in low Earth orbit and could intercept ICBMs with, lasers. And this Polius battle station was supposed to be a mock-up of one of such satellites. And there was a lot of pressure to put it in space. There were a lot of political implications. And finally, they launched it with the Energia rocket. But once the object was put into space, at the end of the Energia launch, it was supposed to make a 180-degree maneuver in yaw, fire its engine, and finally be injected into orbit. But because of a malfunction with the attitude control system, it actually made a full revolution 360 degrees. So when the engine was finally fired, it was a deorbit burn, and the Polius station ended up burning in the atmosphere.
That's crazy. So for people who are listening that don't know much about what you would do, what would be a typical day in your life here?
Well, in the crew support team, we really take care of supporting the astronauts and their families before, during, and after their mission. So at the moment, as we are flying as ESA about an astronaut for 6 months every year. We usually work on different phases of multiple missions at the same time. So for some, it may be preparing the launch campaign and making sure that all the operations in Baikonur are correctly organized. For some others, the astronaut might be in space, so we would be taking care, for instance, of the weekly video conferences between the astronaut and his or her family back on Earth. We may be working on the crew-specific menu, which is an allocation of about 10% of the total food an astronaut eats in space. That is typically done with national food that can be a reminder of one's own country, one's own place. And this is actually an important element in terms of psychological support, especially when you have a long mission such as those we fly on the ISS right now.
I was pretty jealous that you said earlier that you got to try some of Heston Blumenthal's food. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, since we take care of organizing this food allocation for the various astronauts, we have the privilege sometimes to be able to try what is being prepared. Now, of course, the food that ends up being treated so that it has a shelf life of 18 to 24 months is not the same food that you would eat in a restaurant. But everything being considered, I think the different chefs and the different companies over Europe have done an outstanding job over the years, and they've delivered some really good quality product that was appreciated not just by our astronauts but also by their international colleagues when they had the chance to share it during their mission.
I'm guessing when people first went up that the food wasn't that good.
Well, the good thing when they first went up is that the mission was very short, and one was bringing the food with oneself. Right. So there wasn't a problem of preserving it at ambient temperature for a long time. So the food wasn't that good, but also wasn't that bad, and there weren't so stringent requirements. It's when it started to be used for longer and longer missions that the problem really came. For a 15-day mission, you can fly apples, and they will stay fresh for 15 days. But you can't really do that for a 6-month mission when that apple has to maybe lay on the ground for several weeks before it's even launched to the ISS.
Right.
So it's a different type of challenge.
Do you look after all the astronauts, the ESA astronauts that are currently...
Yes.
Yeah. The astronauts that aren't flying, is it like the NASA system, they take part in the crew support as well?
Some do, others have other jobs, other tasks, they support the program, they do a certain amount of public relation, events, support, appearances. In general, we try to use as much as possible the expertise that astronauts have developed while working in space to make the program better, more efficient, and more and closer to what we want it to be.
Yeah.
And what would you say is your biggest challenge working here?
Well, the ISS program is a program in continuous development, in continuous evolution, and to keep pace with that development and evolution is really something that requires attention and effort. Especially in later years, there has been a constant attempt to make the operations as efficient as possible, to make sure that we can support as much European science, as many European activities as we possibly can, but with a very efficient use of resources. And this is something that is coming out, is something that we are succeeding to do, but it's definitely nothing straightforward. Also because it's a continuous mission. It's not like with the shuttle flights, you have 15 days in space and then you have maybe months to sort out things while you have nobody in orbit. The ISS is a continuous program, so whatever change you make, it has to be made in such a way that you're not breaking ongoing operations, and this is definitely a big challenge.
Yeah. And if you look back through your career here, is there something that you're most proud of?
Well, the big advantage, the big bonus of having worked here at ESA is that I had the chance of participating in so many different activities that are related in a way or another to a mission. What I really enjoyed very much is the support in the mission control as a spacecraft communicator, the European equivalent of the Capcom, and to become the Eurocom lead was something that was really a nice moment for me.
Do you have a special phone when you're talking to people who are on the space station? How does it work? Is it just normal, regular Skype, or?
Well, as a matter of fact, you have very different ways of communicating with the astronauts. Astronauts, for non-official communications, they can even call you on your normal phone, and sometimes it does happen. It happened to me once while I was at the dentist, which wasn't exactly.
You got a space station coming up on your phone.
Yeah. Try explain your dentist, I really have to take this one because it's a space station.
How important can it be?
I heard it already.
Oh wow, that's actually amazing. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah. But for, let's say, for work-related communication, we would use the standard systems, we call them voice loops, that are available in mission control. Those are simply, let's say, teleconference channels when you have multiple users, and one of such users is actually the astronaut on board.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the space history thing. And at what point did ESA become involved with building the ISS?
Well, ESA in the late 80s, early 90s was working on the Columbus program, which was supposed to be a complex program made of different really bits and pieces, including at some point there was a lunar component, there was a human transportation component that was known as Hermes. And also in that case, at some point, reality sunk in, and we had to realize that probably we had to use more modest means, and that's when we basically decided to provide as our main contribution to the International Space Station what was then called the Attached Pressurized Module, what is now known as Columbus. But actually Europe also built, the European industry built other modules and other components of the ISS, such as Node 2, Node 3, the cupola, the MPLMs that were flown with the space shuttle. Europe actually contributed quite a bit to the space station program.
Yeah, because it's something that you don't hear very often, is just the amount of work that has been carried out by ESA for the International Space Station.
Absolutely. That is really something that as Europeans we should be very proud of.
The ATV and the building of that. Were you here when that was being developed?
I was here when it was operating.
When it was operating.
Yeah. So EAC was actually responsible for the astronaut training of the ATV. We had different crews that took care of cargo operations, but also docking and undocking training here at EAC. And the ATV was definitely a very interesting vehicle. It was a fine moment for Europe because developing one's own cargo vehicle, especially a vehicle with the characteristics and the capabilities of the ATV, it's not at all trivial. So the ATV program is also a great reason for being proud of the European space program. And in a way, the fact that now the service module of Orion, which is something that, it very much looks at exploration and at the future of human spaceflight, the fact that that service module has been designed and at least for the first units will be manufactured in Europe is a great thing. It's actually the first time that European industry is on the critical path of a big development such as Orion on NASA side. Yeah. It's really an important first.
Yeah, it really is an important first. And do you think that will obviously lead on to, if once the Deep Space Gateway gets underway, that the European involvement is obviously bolstered by its previous endeavours on the ISS? We
definitely hope so, and that's what we're working. That's what we're working for. The Deep Space Gateway is not yet a fully defined program, but there are lots of ideas and there are lots of possible architectures and solutions, and we very much want that Europe has an important role in that program as well. And I think we have good credentials to push for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, there's a lot of our listeners who are sort of interested in potentially getting into more space or working in somewhere like this. How would someone go about getting a job in a centre like this with all of the jobs that you could get?
Well, we look for different profiles. obviously most of the people working at ESA have some sort of scientific background, so either engineers, aerospace engineers, mechanical engineers, or physicists, but we also have psychologists, we also have biomedical engineers, medical doctors. It really depends on the kind of specialty one is interested in. There are multiple entry paths and multiple profiles that might be interesting for a place like this one.
Do you need any podcast assistance? Or
Well, we do public relations.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, that's what
We'll
we're
get an
doing.
application form on the way.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as we get a go in the pool.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've done is come up with an enormous playlist on Spotify of space-related songs. Do you have a space-related song?
Well, there is actually a song that I always associate to Apollo 12. It's a fairly old one, and it is played in the background in the Tom Hanks documentary on the Apollo program, and it's the Arches Sugar Sugar, and it has absolutely nothing to do with space. It's a song from the 60s, a very special one, but whenever I think about Apollo 12, because of that association that was made in the documentary, I always think about that song.
The Arches Sugar Sugar.
Sugar Sugar.
Now we'll think of it.
Yeah, it's going in. It's going in the playlist.
Very well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for talking to us today.
Thanks very much
and
for
thank you
talking
so
to us.
much for the tour. You've been an amazing host.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming.
How cool was that? Sitting in a dentist chair and receiving a phone call from the International Space Station must be absolutely hilarious.
I mean, insane. And he just his brain. I mean, the knowledge he had, Matt, was just next level, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah,
Everything, every question we were asking him on that tour was blowing our minds.
Yeah, my favourite bit was standing in front of the massive model of the International Space Station and him pointing to loads of different things. Like, on that model, there's is one of the modes that's never gone up. And it's got the European arm on it, which is very similar to Canada's arm. And it's like, it's just sitting in a crate somewhere for the last 15 years or so. It's just like sitting in a crate. It's been built, it's all done, but it's just kind of whether it's missed its opportunity to go up or I just don't know. So it was really fascinating. Well, it was absolutely amazing.
It's a bit like why I'm selling my Hoover, Matt.
Oh, why are you selling your Hoover?
Because it's just sitting there gathering dust. Sorry.
Ooh.
How many unsubscribed have we just had?
Yeah, it's like it's that thing where what's that program with the dating program where they all switch off their lights. Boo!
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I just had a lot of off lights.
You just had loads of all the lights went off when you did your silly dance and told them how much you loved your mum.
Yeah, that's true. Well, let me try and pull it back, Matt.
Yeah,
I'll finish on a joke that will win all those subscribers back. I went into the gym and I said, I'd like to learn how to do the splits, please. And they turned around and said, well, how flexible are you? And I said, well, I can't do Tuesdays or Thursdays. All right, I've finished.
No, hey, I've got one.
Oh, here we go.
If you're driving around London and you see a spaceman, what should you do?
Go on.
Park in it, man.
I've
got a space fact. On this very day, the 10th of May, 28 BC, was the date that a sunspot was observed by the Han Dynasty astronomers during the reign of Emperor Cheng of Han.
Wow.
One of the very earliest dated sunspot observations. So that is a long time ago. That's like 2,040 odd years ago.
28 BC. Well, I loved it. So, all right, guys, we'll leave you for now. But look, have yourself a great week, a great weekend. Remember to look up, and also remember to subscribe.
Leave comments.
Give us a comment, or tell us what you want us to talk about. Please, if you don't follow us on Instagram, come and find us, Interplanetary Podcast. And, if you want to give us a nice review on iTunes, then that is really helping us. And I tell you what, if you do that and become a patron this weekend, I'm personally going to leave you a voicemail.
Excellent.
I mean, Matt, who could turn that down?
I don't think anyone can. No,
No,
I've even better actually, Jamie, is
Go on.
our listenership is really, really international. So people out there who are reading their local newspapers and see a bit of local space news that might not make it into the international arena, certainly not over here in Blighty, why not drop us a line and let us know what's happening
Please.
in your local space area? Because we're going to read it out in our international space news.
It's almost like we could have some global scouts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it.
Feeding us news. We'd love that.
Let's let these people go now. They've had enough.
Do we have to?
No, we could keep them on. Let's just keep going.
Nah, only kidding. Let's go.
Let's go. Okay, yes. I've got to go. I've got to go, Jamie. I've got things to do. People to see.
I'll see you soon.
Young minds to shape.
Oh, God. God help them.
See you soon, podcats. Bye-bye.
Bye.